live. No, wait, no, it's not. Now it is. Now it's live. All right, there we go.
Hooray!
Hooray, live. Okay.
We're famous.
Uh, all right. Well, why don't we start with like an update on all the build stuff? Rod, do you want to do that?
Sure. So I've been focusing on trying to get some green builds, which is actually kind of tricky. Um, we've got only a limited number of build targets right now, just because we don't really have any passes. So I want to try and get greens before we move on to more complex stuff. Um, We've had some interesting issues, interesting bugs to fix across the board. Windows has been the biggest pain, but I believe that's mostly sorted out now. We've only got 2 Windows bugs to fix before we get a green there. Um, Overnight, we've had a couple of other things fixed. I haven't run them again on the Linux machines, but we're getting closer to getting greens there. So the main update I have is that I wanted to is to express to everyone that we should try really hard to get greens across these basic platforms. So if we can, what I can do is feedback issues back to Node Forward Node about what needs to be done. Some of them I have no idea and need to pass them off to others. But if we can get a concerted effort to get these all sorted out, so we can actually have, actually make this part of the process instead of it just being this annoying thing that's got red builds each time we push code. So that's all I have. But it'd be really nice to get some greens.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that. Getting green builds is essential, because otherwise the reds don't mean anything.
Exactly. Yeah. libuv's in pretty good state for build status. It's obviously a lot more simple, but yeah. The other thing is this. A few days ago, there was a change pushed to. I think it was the makefile in Node that inserted a bit of Python that needed Python 2.7, and that's caused some grief for older Linuxes where we're using 2.6. So I don't know what the status of that is. Maybe that'll get reverted, but it'd be nice if we could hold back the Python upgrade tide a bit, just to avoid that pain. The other thing is the need for a newer C++ compiler for V8 is causing a little bit of pain on older Linuxes and Windows. So I know V8 requires that, and now there's some stuff starting to creep into Node Core as well. On Windows, it requires Visual Studio 2013 Windows Desktop Edition at a minimum to make it compile. And on older Linuxes, you need a better tool chain than comes default, and there's a little bit of pain involved there, but I know that one's unavoidable. So just wanted to raise that as something we will also have to deal with to keep green builds. Is the tool chains are going to be more and more complex as we progress, very soon. That's all I have.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Oh wait. Oh, my ship just like went off for a second. Okay. Cool. So, are there any other concerns with anything going on in core right now? I think everything's just kind of rolling along. Like, I see commits landing. People are getting stuff done. It looks good. Any issues that we need to bring up or no?
No, I do want to talk about like the anything issues around advisory board versus Node Forward versus whatever.
I mean, they're pretty separate, right? Like, I mean, there's an advisory board that Joanne has people telling them what they want, and then Node Forward is just like community people doing work and taking responsibility. And that's, yeah. I mean, they're separate. I guess like some people are getting confused, but I don't really know how to deal with that. I mean, the messaging on nodeforward.org is like pretty clear. In fact, it was just I just changed it like pretty dramatically, where it's much more of a call to action. It's like, hey, do you know C? Like, here's some stuff that you can do. If you know JavaScript, here's some stuff that you can do. So if you just want to like, improve the community side of things, here's some stuff that you can do. So if you guys have any links that you would like to add there, or projects that you'd like to add, that'd be great. In fact, like, I mean, if there is a list of things that we're trying to do in core and they're well documented somewhere, then we should. Well, I guess it's fucking private right now, though. That's super annoying.
Yeah, so that's the thing
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I mean, like, well, like we do link to like Nan right now, and we're like, hey, like this is a solution to some of the problems that we've been talking about in core. Like, Nan's awesome. You should work on it. Are there any other projects like that?
there's
Is
just
there
a
like a link
manager
to?
thing that people could help with.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we could link to NPM. I feel like the problems in NPM are actually being worked on already. Pretty like we're not trying to forward a ton of new people to them. Is there anything in like any like libuv work that like Ben, can you think of that we would want to like point people at? Like an issue on libuv that they could like look at, 2.0 or something like that.
Mm, not off the top of my head. There are, of course, open issues, but well, nothing really comes to mind.
Okay. Did libuv move to its own org, by the way? Did that happen yet?
No, but it will happen soon.
Okay, cool. Well, I guess we can point people at that just, once it moves. And let me think.
So are we doing the same thing with libuv that we did with Node, where we like do a fork and then disconnect it and then make it
No,
private?
libuv already has its own organization, and the plan is to move everything over from join/libuv to libuv/libuv on GitHub.
Is Joint on board
And
with that?
who cares? I
Well, it
mean,
might be tricky.
it's not like there's anyone from Joint actually working on libuv, so they don't get a say in it.
Sure, but I mean, according to like the structure of GitHub, they might end up having to. I don't know. I fear them raising a stink about it and it being an issue.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
It may feed back into the sensitivities around Node Forward as well. So,
Yeah, that's
I
kind of
mean,
what
the
I'm thinking.
timing might be awkward.
I think, yeah, I think looping. Bert will probably have good feedback about that. I certainly don't want to do anything that's going to like make this whole already somewhat like I don't want to say that they're like hostile. They're definitely not hostile, but there's definitely occasionally some dander in the air. So we need to not do anything that will make it look like we're, I don't know, trying to be jerks or whatever.
Well, I mean, at the same time, though, Joint is doing like literally nothing with libuv, so it's not like I don't know why they would be offended by moving it.
Yeah, I will be surprised if they're not offended if that comes as a surprise though. I'd be very surprised if that was like they're just totally cool with it and didn't see it coming and it wasn't and it was an issue or something.
Yeah, well, they'll get over it.
It's the surprise factor that's going to be the problem.
Exactly.
Why doesn't like Ben? Do you just want to log an issue on join/libuv and say like thoughts on moving to the libuv org so that the existing contributors to libuv can say like, oh yeah, I want to do this just kind of publicly ahead of time.
That's actually a really
We
good idea.
already did actually. It's been discussed, and the wheels are in motion, so it's going to happen anyway.
So there's an issue already on that repo?
No, we discussed it on I think the mailing list or a mailing list.
Okay. Maybe just like recreate that or point to it or something in an issue on GitHub. Because like I think more people are watching the GitHub stuff than the than.
Yeah, but I'm really not inclined to go out of my way to appease Joint here.
So I understand.
If they were more involved, then yes, I would agree. But they have done exactly nothing with libuv, so they can go climb in the tree for all I care.
So Ben, I completely understand where you're coming from, and I feel very much the same way on a lot of issues. The only thing I'm thinking about is just like from a purely like tactical, strategic point of view, like it's going to be a lot easier for us. It's not about making their life easier. It's about making our life easier. Um, if we have something that is just at least an issue that we can say, look, you know, we raised the issue, the committers, the contributors all decided that this is what they wanted. You could have said no, you didn't. End of story.
Right. What if join says no? I mean, in the end, it doesn't really matter because, hey, no one from join is working on libuv. So if the libuv people want to move out of the joint org, then who's going to stop them?
Well,
Hold on. Are there any people from Joint right now that are listed as contributors to libuv, like as committers?
None. Zero.
Okay. Well, then I mean they can't really say no, can they? I mean, if you're putting it to a vote amongst the contributors and then you put that on GitHub, like they don't actually have a vote. So.
Well, so here's the thing. You guys are all right, and you're all like saying what is exactly correct and moral and ethical and absolutely the way the world should work. However, in the real world, what we're talking about are people who are, you know, business people and lawyers, and they're going to look at this and be like, hey, you stole our libuv thing. That's our thing. And it's a lot easier to deal with that kind of claim if we can point to something very public that says, look, no, we gave you a chance to talk about this. Second, if we do that and then they say, no, you're not allowed to move this out of Joyent, then now what we're doing is you're putting them in a position where they have to actually say that publicly. It's a stronger argument. This is an argument that's going to happen in public, and the perception is going to be worse, right? If they say, hey, if you're putting them in a position where the contributors are saying this is what we want, and Joyent says no contributors to libuv, we're not going to let you do this. That's a tougher claim for them to make. However, if it's like, well, Ben Nordhaus swooped in here and stole libuv away from Joyent, and now they're upset. They're going to gather more more compassion from people who don't know what's going on, and that's going to make things trickier for us.
Oh, right, yeah, but I'm not even a committer anymore. It's just Fedor and Saul at this point. And,
sure.
Well,
Even if it's Fedor and Saul, you know, swooped in and stole it away, like it's. Trust me, just like post the issue asking for it to be moved to its own org. Give them a week.
Can you can you show me this? Yeah, can you show me this thread? Because I'm on the libuv Google group and I'm having a hard time finding it.
Oh yeah, maybe it was to. Well, I'll forward you the email thread.
Okay. I mean, like, I can just log the issue on libuv and just say like, hey, I know that there's been talk about moving to this org. Like, do you guys want to put it to a vote or blah blah blah?
The best person to post this would be Fedor. Michael, you, me, and Ben would all probably be not good as the face of this. But Joyent's
I'm not going to be the face of it. I'm just going to post the issue and say, like, I don't even commit to this, but I know that you guys have been talking about this. Can we get some transparency into it?
That's what I'm saying. If Fedor posts this issue, it's going to be a lot harder for Joyent to say, no, this is you know, some out of nowhere fringe group thing. I'm not saying that Joyent will react that way. I don't know. They'll probably be fine. They'll probably do nothing. Just it would upset our other discussions with them a lot less if it was done in a somewhat diplomatic way.
Okay. I mean, yeah. I think Trevor also works on it a bit, but yeah. Okay. All right. I will email Fedor and Bert and everybody. Cool.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
I know that it is really frustrating and annoying.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, politics I understand. It's just that, well. Okay, yeah, let Fedor log the issue, and then anyone from Joint who wants to can chime in.
Yep. And let them make the case for why it should be at Joyent, and if they don't or can't, you know, then we move it unopposed. And if they do, then, you know, we deal with whatever issues they bring up. But this way, at least, it's not a surprise.
All right.
or if they complain that it is a surprise, we can then in good conscience say, and in good faith, we can say, well, the only reason it's a surprise is because you weren't paying attention, and if you weren't paying attention, you shouldn't have it anyway, right?
Actually, the plan was to quietly move it over to the libuv organization, then just let the joint libuv repository, well, die off naturally, so to say.
Well, the problem is when you move it, if you do a GitHub move,
No, no, we're not going to move the entire repository. We're going to file an issue saying that, hey, new issues should be posted at libuv/libuv. This is only for archival purposes only.
I see. Yeah, moving the whole repo would be better though. Then
nobody here is an admin in that org and can do that.
No, exactly. And so the other reason was that it would be a good way to do a, let's call it a spring cleanup. There are a lot of stale bugs, stale issues, and stale pull requests.
I see. Okay, so I thought we were talking about actually doing a proper repo move.
Oh, right, sorry, yeah, I should have mentioned that. But yeah, like Michael said, no one is actually an admin in the joint org, so that's not an option.
Hmm. Yeah, that sucks then, because anybody who has a GitHub checkout or a Git checkout will not automatically be pulling new updates.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before, and like the reality is that the sort of first order direct consumers of libuv are not that many, right? It's
That's true. That's true.
It's like at maybe 30 projects, and they're used by a ton of people, but like we only need to get like 30 people to update.
Yeah. They're very clueful anyway. Like they're all people who kind of know what libuv is and are keyed into it. So. Yeah, okay. Then that's probably fine. In that case, do they have a trademark on libuv?
No. I've already checked before. They don't.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I would be very surprised if they did, actually.
There is no trademark on libuv. Lots of trademarks on just UV. Vodka, banking, pressure levels, underwear.
Yeah. I mean, I doubt that there's any in our area.
Yeah.
And even if they were, like, I really doubt that you're gonna, get them to say libuv, blah, blah, blah.
Cool. Okay. Then, I mean, yeah, then quietly moving it might be fine. And then just post an issue saying, hey, like, we're over there now. Maybe even en masse go through all of the open issues and say, like, either post this issue on this other repo if it's still a problem, otherwise, goodbye.
Yeah. Also, you may want to change the README just to point at the new.
Yeah, that was the plan.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, all right. I'll kick off an email with the BB people and just say like, hey, it'd be good if you created this issue. That's my follow-up. Okay. Any Node stuff? Nope. Okay. Node is good. Previously we had talked about trying to create buckets for releases and stuff. Are we doing that, or are we just going to wait until we're public again to do that, or what?
Yeah, don't think it really makes sense to do releases when your repository is private.
Yeah. I mean, we'd just be like basically tagging, going like, hey, this is all done. But okay. And then do we? I know that like when all the original stuff happened, we said 4 weeks for going public again. Does anyone recall the date that we brought it private?
I can look that up because I was the one who did it.
Okay.
Is there any reason to still keep it private?
There is.
Well, we had told Joint that we would keep it private until that date. So I don't know who communicated that to Joint, but somebody did. So and that was Yeah. So I mean, we should definitely make sure that they understand that that is a date and that they're aware of it and all that. So. I mean, if we're planning to go public again, like we need to communicate that to them.
All right.
And I should probably like work on the messaging and the README as well, so that it's clearer, like what it is and everything.
So that was October 11th.
Okay. The 11th. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay. So that's the 8th of November.
So basically, the next we should talk about this at the next joint Node advisory board.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we should put that out there. I'll kick off an email about it really quick too. Okay. Other than that, yeah. So being that these meetings are actually like pretty difficult to schedule, I'm thinking we may want to try to do some kind of alternative to talking like this all the time. So maybe automate some kind of like, okay, there's an issue like every Monday that we create, and then we add sort of people add agenda items to it, and then the sort of people that want to be involved in that meeting can show up, because it's actually impossible to schedule a meeting with everyone from all of the different countries. So we might want to be a little bit more selective.
That sounds
Yeah.
good to me.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the time too, like if people don't really care about a particular thing, then they're not gonna try to veto it, or like they're basically opting into the consensus that everybody else goes for anyway. So
Yeah.
okay.
Would a mailing list work for this?
I mean, a GitHub issue provides like quite a bit more visibility into it, and it ostensibly generates an email for most of the people watching. So.
Oh right, yes, sure. Yeah, didn't realize you were talking about GitHub issues. Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, GitHub issues are basically better than a mailing list for everything a mailing list is for.
Yeah. It's true. It's true.
It's really come a long way.
Yeah. Also, there's been a fair amount of activity in like some of the Node Forward Getter channels, and so I'm wondering if we, when we go public, if we want to use like a Node Forward/Node Getter channel rather than IRC, because we're actually seeing a lot of people pop in that would not come into IRC. In particular, I've been doing it for requests recently, and we're getting like way more people coming in asking for help than we've ever gotten in issues. So, yeah, and we also have Forrest has been working on building out this help forum. So basically, like there are GitHub issues that you can ask for help that are not the cesspool that the mailing list is. And then there is also a Getter channel with a bunch of people in there that can help you. So we get kind of general questions in there as well now. And that just kind of started, so we haven't had a ton in there, but we're having some good luck. And like ideally, you could actually embed this into a web page at some point, so people coming to the project that have questions can just be like, "Hey, I have a question."
Does this Gitter thing have IRC integration?
Yes. So you can log into Gitter via IRC. Yeah.
Okay.
You can't like use it as a client to go to Freenode, but you can log into it as if it were IRC.
You mean I can connect with an IRC client to Gitter through some gateway?
They have an IRC interface.
Right. Okay.
They don't have an IRC integration.
It's irc.gitter.im, and it tells you all the info.
All right.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So yeah, we can discuss that later. Once we're talking about it going public again. I guess in the next meeting we would want to talk a lot about the possibly going public stuff. So. Cool. Okay. All right. Awesome. Yeah, we're good. Everything is good. Everything is rolling along. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Great. See you.
Thank you very much.
See you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.